This is the Big Stories Podcast, where we tell the amazing and inspiring stories from across the Big 12 Conference.
Welcome back to another episode of the Big Stories Podcast. Let's get to the storylines.
The Big Stories' 5 biggest storylines. Number 5.
How about them Cowboys? Yes, I'm talking about the Oklahoma State Cowboys. This is a team that had a losing record in and out of conference the past 2 seasons, and before this week's games, they had a losing record in conference and coming off of a beatdown to Arizona by almost 40 points. Yeah, listen, I get it. But I just wanted to give props to the Pokes for looking a lot better this season than they have in seasons past. This team can put up some points. Okay, again, they only scored 47 against Arizona, but lots of teams look silly against the Cats. They scored 87 in their win over UCF, 84 over Kansas State, 81 against Utah, and 99 against BYU. They're a potential NCAA tournament bubble team. Now, is this a complete team? No, they give up lots of points, but it's fun to see a team that's been struggling rise to the occasion every once in a while, and, well, we'll just be better. I think we all have teams out there that we secretly love, even though they're not great. Teams that we're just like, man, I have a soft spot in my heart. Maybe for OSU fans, that'll be this year's team. They're not great, but the Pokes are sure fun to watch. And then there is Anthony Roy. Lefty is in his Instagram handle or name or whatever you call it. Anyway, he knows how to use that left hand in a score. The Oakland, California native played at San Francisco, New Mexico State, and was a big-time scorer at Green Bay before transferring to Stillwater. He averaged nearly 26 points a game last season before getting injured. That's not the same this season, but he loves to pull and fire. Scored only 10 against Arizona, but he scored 30 against BYU. Hopefully we can get a podcaster on soon to talk about OSU. Anyway, just watch the Pokes for some fun. They might turn into your second favorite Big 12 team. Or not. It's up to you.
Number 4.
Speaking of OSU taking down BYU, what's the deal with the Cougars? Did I sound like Jerry Seinfeld there? Anyway, coming into this week, they'd lost 4 straight and 5 out of 6. Now, maybe their slump has something to do with their loss to Texas Tech on January 17th. I mean, BYU had a 9-point lead with just under 10 minutes left to go in the game, and then were outscored 34-10 the rest of the way. Maybe it's slow starts? Both against Arizona and Kansas, they were down big early and then fought their way back to lose close games. Same thing with the game against Oklahoma State. Maybe it's defense. In those last 6 games that I talked about coming into this week, BYU has given up an average of 86 points a game. Only twice did the opposing team not score over 80, and one of those was a win over Utah. The other was 77 to Houston, who still shot 48% from the field at the Marriott Center. Then again, maybe it's the turnovers. This has been a bugaboo for the Cougars this season, except in that game against Houston. They've been loose with the ball in a lot of other games. Maybe it's the lack of scoring from everyone not named Dybantsa, Richie Saunders, and Rob Wright. Those guys are scoring 50 points a game for the Cougars. No one else is averaging in double figures. Fellow starters Kennard Davis and Keba Keita are averaging about 7 points a game. Then again, maybe it's a little bit of all of the above. Listen, BYU still has a chance to turn things around, but they shouldn't wait too long. Last season, they were in a pickle and then finished the season with a long winning streak. We'll see if the Cougars can pull that off again with a brand new team.
Number 3.
Who is going to be this year's Big 12 Player of the Year? Well, let's just eliminate a few guys, according to me. It's probably not going to be Kansas's Darren Peterson. I think his lack of playing time due to injuries and other factors will prevent him from getting the nod, even if he will be the number 1 overall draft pick in the NBA next year. Kansas State's P.J. Haggerty can score, but does he do enough else to help his team win? I'd probably say no. Other big-time scorers like Utah's Terrence Brown and Baylor's Cameron Carr are also on teams with losing conference records, so I think they'll be eliminated. Anyone from the 2 best teams in the conference in Houston and Arizona? What about those guys? Maybe Kingston Flemings and Emmanuel Sharp for the Cougs, or Braden Burries or Koa Pete for Arizona? I'm going to guess no on all of them. Both teams are playing fantastic team basketball right now, but no one is really standing out from any of those guys, even though I really do like Kingston Flemings. How about BYU freshman A.J. Dybantsa? He's the conference's leading scorer and is grabbing around 6 rebounds a game. Those are good numbers. He's had big scoring games and highlight reel dunks. He has beautiful footwork and a smooth jumper. He might be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, and he probably won't fall past number 3. But is it enough? All of the good stuff we've talked about may be negated by the fact that the Cougars end up a middle-of-the-pack team. You know, kind of like those guys that they say they put up good numbers on average teams. You know, are they really MVPs? You may hear that out there. If he doesn't get this award, he's still one of the best in the conference and in the country. So who are the others? It would probably be a couple of teammates in Texas Tech's Christian Anderson and big man JT Toppin. Anderson is averaging around 19 points a game and close to 8 assists a contest. He's got a really strong resume. And then there is the big man in Toppin, who won the award last season, and as of Monday, he's averaging 21 points a game and is one of the better rebounders in the conference. They are an impressive 1-2 punch. Before I considered Anderson as a potential MVP candidate, I talked to Locked On Texas Tech podcast host Chris Level about the dynamic duo, the other guys who could help this team get to the Final Four, and if JT Toppin has a chance to win this award with all the other talented freshmen he's competing against.
The Red Raiders were in the Elite Eight last March, and almost, we're, 30 seconds, a minute away from punching their ticket to the Final Four in their home state of San Antonio. But University of Florida had other thoughts. The biggest thing from that team was being able to bring back Christian Anderson and JT Toppin. Player retention is key in this day and age. And, we wondered. I mean, JT Toppin was the Big 12 Player of the Year last year, right? And so it's like, but he's an old school, back to the basket, undersized post player. Well, doesn't necessarily translate as a no-brainer NBA draft pick, okay? Because he's 6'7"-ish, maybe a little taller, but he's a back-to-the-basket guy. Well, in the NBA, it doesn't, So they immediately strike a deal with him and get him to come back. And then Christian Anderson also comes back, and this has been one of the most lethal pick-and-roll combos in all of college basketball. It is wildly fascinating. I think their plan was, we've got the point guard solved. We've got the post players solved. We just need to go get longer and more athletic around the perimeter and guys that can shoot, because when you're playing this pick and roll, how it's defended, just put some guys out on the perimeter and let them go bombs away with it. And it's Donovan Atwell is the name I would give you. He's been. He was a hit, okay? When you're looking at portal guys, okay, did we hit on this one? Did we miss on him? You 1,000% hit on that one. He is shooting close to 45% from behind the arc. He's the epitome of a 3-and-D player. He's been your arguably your best perimeter defender. And then Lawan Watts, who is basically going to replace Darion Williams from a year ago, in that this is a low post player that's got some perimeter skills, that has kind of got some position flex to them. We can let him initiate the offense. We can ask him to go post up. He's got a little size to him, so there's some versatility there. And it's taken him a bit, but this is a kid that has just gotten better and better. So he's averaging double-digit points, getting close to double-digit rebounds on a nightly basis, dropping off 4 or 5 assists, and just got a lot of versatility to his game. So, Watts and Atwell would be the two that I would mention to you the most, other than JT and Christian. But Grant does a good job. He's a very good coach, and I'm fortunate enough to call those games on the radio. So I've been traveling around with these guys, and like I said, I feel like we just got back from San Francisco last March, and here we are about to, not too far away from Selection Sunday again. So, and this league is just absolutely brutal. It's the best, but it is brutal, and the stress level for a lot of these folks in it for 2 to 2.5 months is probably unhealthy, but they also are all addicted to it too.
We mentioned JT Toppin. Mm-hmm. He is one of the best players in the league, and I know that there are a lot of good young players in this league, especially a lot of good young freshmen. But why should JT Toppin be the Big 12 Player of the Year, or what does he need to do to actually get there?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about good young players. So this year, as we all know, is like one like any other before. Okay, because of the young talent, especially Texas Tech recently just had 3 home games consecutively, where you had 3 freshmen, one for each of the opponents that came in here, in BYU, in Houston, and Kansas. These could all be top 5 picks in the draft. And this is what the home crowd was treated to. And it's like, hey, oh, by the way, go stop this lottery pick and all that. But then there's, and I've heard JT referred to as like this old head, like he's been in college for, he's a true junior. This is his 3rd year of college. And it is amazing to me how people are like, hey, he's older. Well, it's because of all the very talented freshmen. But this is a kid that he didn't even have a redshirt year. I mean, this is his 3rd year of college. He is wildly consistent, is what I would say. I don't know if he'll win it because he won it last year. I think part of it is if you're going to have to. Last year they were 2nd in the league, and they were also the only team that beat the league, the team that won the league in Houston. And JT, that was the game he was ejected from, ironically enough, for passing the ball across the court. And so I don't know if you'll how that will work, because I mean, take your pick though. I mean, on who who gets this thing, and the top team in the standings, for the last 2 months has been Arizona. But JT, he's as good of a scorer and a rebounder as this league has seen in a long time. His problem is can his team win enough games, and he's got all these very talented and flashy freshmen that they would like some of that shine as well when it comes to award time.
Number 2.
One of the fabulous freshmen may not win Player of the Year, but one will win Freshman of the Year. A guy who probably won't win it is Baylor's Tunde Yesufu. Some have projected him to be a first-round pick in the NBA. The 6'5" guard knows how to use his body in the post and can also knock down a set shot from the outside. He's averaging over 17 points a game, but he also plays for a team with a losing conference record. Houston's Kingston Flemings should be near the top of this list as he leads his team in scoring, and he's not afraid of the moment. Arizona's duo of Braden Burries and Koa Pete will be strongly considered as they are 1 and 2 in scoring for their team. They're both really good, but they may cancel each other out since their team is so team-oriented. They should be considered, though. Very strong considerations. Jayhawk guard Darren Peterson will get a strong consideration also, but he needs to keep playing more games and making differences in those games like he did against Texas Tech and BYU. And now we're back to AJ Dybantsa. He may get it because he scored the most, is a decent rebounder, and has been a star for the Cougars. I'd probably give him the award right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if it changes because all the guys we've talked about are really that good. I'm just glad I don't have to vote for this award.
Number 1.
The top of the conference is so exciting right now. Like I mentioned earlier, Arizona and Houston, they're both team-oriented, and they have the top 2 records in the conference. That is at least at the start of this week. They play great on offense and defense. They are number 1 and number 3 in scoring margin in the Big 12. Number 2 in scoring margin is Iowa State. That will get tested as their schedule gets tougher, starting with Kansas on Valentine's Day. On Monday, they were tied for 3rd with the Kansas Jayhawks. What a turnaround from earlier this season. They started out 1 and 2 after losses to UCF and West Virginia. They've handled their business since then. Texas Tech is not far behind, and they have that aforementioned 1-2 scoring punch. I would still say the top seed in the conference for the conference tournament will go to either Houston or Arizona. I would lean Wildcats, even though I think Arizona will lose 1 or 2 games before the conference slate is done. By the way, those 2 teams face each other on February 21st in H-Town. Now, would one of my predicted Arizona losses come on Monday night as the Wildcats travel to Fog Allen Fieldhouse to take on the Jayhawks? Well, yes. We are coming to you from the Wall House just after Kansas took down Arizona 82-78. Melvin Council Jr. and Flory Badunga each had 23 points for the Jayhawks, who trailed Arizona by 3 at the half. Kansas did not play with freshman Darren Peterson, who's out due to an illness. Arizona freshman Braden Burries had 25 points in the game, but fellow Frosh Koa Pete only had 6. Don't worry, Wildcats fans. Your team is still really good after their first loss of the season. Amazing, by the way. Now let's get back to the rest of the podcast, which was recorded a little bit earlier on Monday. It's story time on Big Stories, and we're concluding our coverage of the Big 12 Conference football season by talking about the best team in the Big 12, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Chris Level of the Locked On Texas Tech podcast returns to chat about the lone Big 12 team who played in the college football playoff. Chris, in the pantheon of Texas Tech football seasons, where does the 2025 season sit? I would assume it's number one, but I'm curious what you say. And maybe there's this season for you that you're like, I love this one season or whatever. Maybe it was back during the Spike Dykes era or something like that. I don't know. I'm just curious. Where do you think it sits in the pantheon of Texas Tech football?
It's a big question. I didn't have pantheon on my bingo card when we started to talk here, but I will cross that off. I think 1973. I think 2008, and I think 2025 are probably. And these were all, you're ranked in the top 5 and, trying to compete for big stuff and all of them. But yeah, in the modern era, I mean, it's not even close. I mean, this one or 08. But the league is different. In 08, you're in a much different Big 12, and there's this thing called the BCS. And so there's all these weird endings of the way, but yeah, you were really good this year. That's the bottom line. And yeah, this one goes down, and it's either tops or top 2 or 3. There's just no doubt about that. No one would take that away at all.
After an 11-1 regular season and a Big 12 championship, the Red Raiders were humbled by Oregon in the college football playoff. Are Tech fans still wondering what might have been if the offensive might have pulled their own weight or at least played a little bit better in that game?
No, and I'll tell you why. I mean, first of all, Oregon was really good. Now they got humbled themselves the very next round, and I think if you look at Indiana, you're like, yeah, I don't know if that was going to go so well against Indiana had you beaten Oregon. Whatever. Where the Tech fan, generally speaking, this isn't everybody, but generally speaking, where the most Tech fans, I don't want to say that anybody operated this way. But upon reflection, winning a Big 12 championship was the stated goal. Everything after it was gravy. So I just don't think you're going to get too many people that, are upset or like, I cannot believe because this was a first. And you just got invited to the party. Now the next time there, let's get to the party and can we stay a while? Would that be okay? I mean, there's levels to this. So I just don't know if there's too much of getting caught up into, we blew it, I can't believe it. I mean, I called a NCAA national championship game featuring the Red Raiders against University of Virginia in basketball in 2019, and you had a lead there with 20 seconds to go and didn't foul up 3. Now that's one where I'm like, there's plenty of regret there. Plenty of regret, but not with this one in a weird way. In a year or two, if you're at the same deal, and then I think there'll be some massive frustration, sure, but not the first time.
I would expect that expectations for the 2026 season are sky high, just because not only have you gotten a lot of guys out of the portal, you have some of the guys who are coming back. And then on top of that, I mean, I guess the main guy out of the portal is you've got former Cincinnati quarterback Brendan Sorsby. So I'm expecting that, Tech fans are thinking way up here, like, yeah, we should be going back to the college football playoff again.
Yeah, well, I think you have a title to defend in the Big 12. I think that's the way you look at it. Yeah, you have a title to defend. I think that you have reached the point very quickly, mind you, that the expectation is to be in Arlington playing for a conference championship. Anything short of that, you have failed. With as much as they're putting into this, which as much as you mentioned that is returning on the roster that's been added to it, I think, and Brendan Sorsby, he's from the Metroplex area. That's what's ironic. So it's not, the Cincinnati quarterback, really, he's a Texan. He's just come home. But that's that would be absolutely the expectation. And you may, in fact, be a bit better on offense than you were on defense last year, which was the highest of bar. I mean, but you're still going to be very good on defense. But I do think that there were some things offensively that you needed to get better at, kicking way too many field goals. You didn't have in any sort of running game from your quarterback because Baron Morton played last year with a broken leg. And Brendan Sorsby can fix a lot of that. And then with what you've added in the portal and things like that. So it could be a little bit of a different, and your schedule's very different. The Red Raiders don't play BYU, which makes me sad.
Makes me sad, too. I was kind of hoping that.
Well, that's becoming, I think those are two programs that when you look at it, they have started to separate their departments. How about that? Their departments have started to separate a little bit from, everybody in the league because of the success, because of the investment made, because of the brand awareness, whatever. And so, I don't know, maybe they meet again in Arlington and they play for a conference championship again. But I'm not sure that Texas Tech and BYU need to be some sort of protected rivalry yet, but it seems like both programs pull the best out of each other, especially when they have played in recent, and regardless of sport. And so I just, and this league needs that. This league needs to sink their teeth into something that you can kind of hang your hat on, and they're searching for some of that. And I think these two programs give it to them.
A lot was made on how much money Texas Tech spent on their roster before and during the 2025 football season. But you need a good culture, and players have to buy into that culture. Texas Tech seems to have done both in 2025. How has Joey McGuire shaped that culture so that kids are buying into the Red Raider way and not just into the big money way?
Yeah, it's funny that the money. It's like, I think we all know how much BYU paid AJ to play basketball up there, right? And it's just become, it's like you can't talk about, or Texas Tech with Nigeri Kennedy, the softball player. We all know how much she made. But I guess other people have guys playing for free. It's like, I don't know why some of these schools or some of these players in the Big 12 got attached with, that's all anybody wants to talk about. They only went there because of that, instead of option whatever. Okay, sorry, I digress. With Joey, when you're going to play the portal at the level that they're playing it, when you're going to bring in, 15 to 25 guys, give or take, and you realize that these are going to be some of your older players, some of your better players, some of your leaders, I think his job now becomes culture creator as much as it is X's and O's, making sure my guys are motivated. Because you're racing against the clock and trying to bring them together and care about each other, and then also care about the brand or the school or the city that they play for. I mean, all of that stuff. And I think that's Joey's. That's probably some secret sauce there. He's really good at that. He is one that there's some coaches, we all know their names, that maybe didn't adapt or didn't want to adapt. I like the way things used to be. Joey is one that has adapted and embraced the way that things are going now, and he's a juice guy. So he brings energy and positive energy, and so many of those portal guys last year were like, I have never been around a coach like this. This is very new to me. So now that he's allowed to be that and be this bright light and this positive influence on a lot of these new guys when they never had that before, I just think it kind of works. Because talent's never not the problem now that they are able to go kind of pick who they want and everything. So it's been pretty fascinating. But Joey's excelling for sure. He's not the only one, but he certainly is somebody that is thriving in this modern 2025-26 era of what college football actually is.
Thanks again to Chris Level for joining us on the Big Stories podcast. Coming up on this Thursday's edition of the pod, It's an uplifting tale of how TCU is trying to save the inspiration of their mascot. Horned lizard numbers have been dwindling for decades, but the university and others, well, they're trying to get things going in the other direction. And we try to answer the question of why they're called horned frogs, meaning why does TCU call them horned frogs instead of horned lizards? Download and subscribe to Big Stories wherever you get podcasts. I'm Cleon Wall, and Big Stories is a production of BYU Radio.